Yeah, that's still one of the craziest things. Okay, so about 3 years ago, I said I'm going to Atlanta, and I'm hoping that I meet Lecrae or somebody. I just was like, I'm on a mission just to meet someone, and I want to work. And so I end up getting a delay in Phoenix, and I'm bored. They're like 2-hour delay, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna talk to somebody. And I just remember like this guy walks up, and he like sits probably about 20 feet away from me, and he just looks mad. He just like he doesn't look like he wants to be approached by anybody, and he's wearing a King Culture shirt, and I'm like, okay, this dude must know somebody other than Lecrae. So I walk up to the dude, and I'm like, yo, like, good to meet you, my name is Wontel. Looks like you listen to Christian hip hop. Do you like it? And he's like, yeah, so I'm the co-owner of Rapzilla. My name's Chad. I'm like, oh snaps, like my man, like. And so ends up being where I had a better flight position, seating position or whatever on the Southwest flight, and I said, yo, let me save you a spot. And so we sat together for 4 hours, talked, and then I met Phil. He like picked up Chad, and during that time I didn't have a laptop. I had a big old like desktop, and I'm carrying this thing around. I had a keyboard that wasn't USB. I still had the MIDI. And so I just looked like a hot mess, like carrying all this stuff, and I just remember Phil like looking at me like, yo, who is this who's this dude? He's like, nice to meet you. And I was like, hey, nice to meet you. And I remember them leaving, and I ended up going to the Unashamed conference for a night, and I ran back into them and stayed in contact. Eventually I started working with Isaiah Ziv, and then I started working with Script, and then Hillary, and this was all like without ever talking to Chad and Phil about it. And so slowly just networked, and eventually ran into them again, and they're like, hey, like we have this idea, and we feel like you would do well for it. And this was like 2 years later, and so just to see like steady like contact and relationships with people, when perfect opportunities come, they're like, here you go, and you're like, I'll take it. You know what I mean? And so now, and what's funny is when I was on the plane, I remember Chad just being like, so yeah, man, he sits back, and he just has like this, he's just like, yeah, just real like settled voice. Chad is funny like that, and he just goes, yeah, so you produce for anybody? And I'm like, nah, man, I have no placements. I was like, you'll hear about me in a year or so, hopefully. And he's like, oh, that's cool. And just like kind of brushed me off. I'm like, all right, yeah, amen. And so now it's funny, like just to be able to know him, and like we now live in the same county. And so I moved to San Diego, and so it's cool. Yeah, so that's how that like panned out, which is a funny story to me. But yeah.